Welcome to the live stream, everybody. I'm the Chris who plays games, playing retro games, everybody at 9:15, whatever the fuck. I feel like every Friday at 9:15 I use he, him pronouns, and I'm happy to be here with you tonight. We are playing a game called Castle of Illusion featuring Mickey Mouse. For those of you who are not aware, Mickey Mouse and Disney are a key part of the reason why copyright is a completely broken system. So our charity for the night is Creative Commons, an organization that seeks to provide an alternative to the copyright oligarchies that exist today. So thank you all for being here. Welcome to the stream. I'm going to change around this, and, yeah, that's right. There we go. Hello, Matzo, Jeff, James, Yugi, Mark, and everybody else. Welcome to the stream. Hurry, before Mizrabel uses her power of illusion to make herself blah, 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 you must find the 7 gems of the rainbow. They will give you the power to overcome Mizrabel. But be careful, the gems are protected by the Master of Illusion. And some weird knights, apparently. Hello, weird knights. I'm gonna jump on your head. Jumping is done. Oh, I should push the game to do the big thing. There we go. Now the game is the big thing. So yeah. So what's poppin'? We're gonna play some Mickey Mouse tonight, and we're going to, you know, actually play a Disney game. So this game actually predates Sonic the Hedgehog, which is news to me. So this is from the Sega Genesis, and it is before Sonic the Hedgehog was released. I did not actually realize that there were platformer. I thought Sonic was like a pack-in with the original version of the Sega Genesis, but little did I know it was not. This game was released in 1990, which I think is actually a full year before Sonic was released. So it's probably one of the earlier Sega Genesis games I've played. Let's see if I can bump on your head. Can I? Ow. Well, apparently not. Okay, well. It's good that I wasted all my life figuring out that I could not do the thing I was trying to do. Yeah, it's really good. Smart. Alright, get out of here. Just take that and have it done. Hello, hello. But yeah, so Mickey Mouse, the most recent extension of US copyright is actually referred to as the Mickey Mouse Copyright Extension Act, also known as the Sonny Bono, I think, Copyright Act. It was passed in Congress by, you know, in response to Mickey Mouse potentially going out of copyright again. And in fact, the term of copyright has been extended every time that the original Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse cartoon was about to go out of copyright. So the reason that things don't go out of copyright now, only after 46 years, which is I think the original, or 17 years, 46 years, something like that, the original term, is entirely because of Mickey Mouse. And so we have him to blame for the fact that it is not legal to make a copy or distribute a copy of, for example, Atari 2600 games, which at this point should, for the most part, be out of copyright under some of the initial terms that they were released under, or would have been had we not extended copyright a bajillion times just to keep Disney rich. So it's kind of course, ironic that this is true because Disney has been one to crib heavily from the public domain and public domain works. So they are perfectly happy to take from public domain when it suits them, but not so happy to deal with that limitation when it is someone else potentially taking from their work. And it's really just kind of silly that things like I mean, like Agatha Christie novels that were written, you know, back in the 30s are still not in the public domain, or Steamboat Willie itself. You know, it's just silly that we can't reuse these things. So, yes, it's 100% a good reason to hate Disney. And so this is why our charity for tonight for Super Chat for Good is the Creative Commons Foundation, or Creative Commons Corporation. Creative Commons seeks to provide an alternative to the mainstream copyright approach used by, you know, major corporations, and instead to provide a way for creative types like myself to provide content that can be reused, to encourage reuse. And they provide a number of licenses which are designed to, you know, encourage different kinds of reuse. If you have ever used Flickr, Flickr was in fact one of the platforms that really embraced Creative Commons early on, and so they offered the ability to license your photos as Creative Commons, as well as to search their photos using Creative Commons filters. And so for people out there, you will oftentimes be able to, you know, if you wanted to put together photos for a presentation or something like that, you can do that. I have found dozens of YouTube videos that use my Flickr photos as illustrations for their YouTube videos. And they can do that because I have licensed them under Creative Commons, and so all they have to do is credit Christopher Schmidt and give a link to the photo, and then they're allowed to do that, which is a really cool thing that you couldn't do if my photos were copyrighted. So Creative Commons licenses allow you to set a number of different terms. For example, you can say, I would like people to be able to use my photos, but only, or my content, you know, videos, whatever else like that, but only for non-commercial purposes. You can say, I would like people to be able to do whatever, so long as they give me credit. They even have something now called CC0, which attempts to behave like a public domain dedication. So you can say that, you know, I wish my content to be licensed extremely liberally. You can do whatever you want with it. You don't have to give me credit. You don't have to do anything else like that. And they've done a really good job of trying to promote the idea that there is something other than, you know, just owning all the copyright. This is not entirely dissimilar if you are familiar with, you know, code. In my work as a computer software developer and working now on the open source team at Google, from a lot of the ideals of the open source movement. The Creative Commons movement is basically the creative equivalent of what is the open source movement in software. Okay, so those ghosts I can't like hop through or anything. Same thing with these guys. So I don't know what CCLI is, Matzo. That might be a thing, but I don't know. Well, so it is not my opinion that it should just be no longer sold. I think that a term which is, you know, some limited term makes sense. I mean, my feeling has always been that my reform to copyright would be to require you to register your works. I would start with just like require you to register your works. Pay $1 one time to register your works. And if you don't, after 50 years or 25 years or 20 years or something, I mean, I would want it to be as short as possible, but I would be happy with 50 years. Your things go into the public domain. That wouldn't help with Mickey Mouse. You know, Mickey Mouse would still be copyrighted, but there's a massive amount of copyrighted material out there that no one cares about anymore. That like never, you know, like massive numbers of things, like, you know, whether it's videos or writing or whatever, that people, you know, created, and they don't, like, the copyright is not important to them, and they would be perfectly happy for other people to use it, but there's no way to know that because you don't have to register your copyright in order to have it. So start with that. Let's start with just like the idea that if you uploaded a photo to the internet in you know, well, I guess you didn't upload photos to the internet in, you know, 1988, but if you uploaded a photo to the internet 30 years ago somehow, and I get a copy of it now, like, I can make a copy of it and I can do something with it. I think that would be a great start, and unless you choose to register it, you pay $1 one time, and you say, okay, I'm going to register my copyright in this work, and that is my way of saying, like, I actually care about this, and I would like to hold it forward. So, and so that is, you know, one possibility that you could have. And that would mean that for many works where there is just no interest from the copyright holder, I'm confused about what I'm supposed to do now. When I had apples, it made sense. Yeah, alright, fair enough. And then the other thing I think, I mean, I am super in form of much more aggressive reform, right? Okay, so instead of it being $1 once, make it $1 the first year, or give you 10 years for free and $1 after that, and every year it doubles, right? And so Mickey Mouse at this point would be, you know, a license fee of 1 to the 70 or 2 to the 78th dollars per year in licensing fees. Now, that is obviously a tremendous amount of money that no one could pay. If you were to do that, you know, basically after the 30th year, it would be $4 billion a year, and I doubt that Disney would want to pay that. And so, I wonder if I have to grab those acorns? Nope, doesn't seem like it. Okay. What am I supposed to do? Thank you very much, Barbara, for the $2 super chat for good to Creative Commons, celebrating access to copyright or better access to copyrighted materials in the world, counteracting our playing of a Disney game with Mickey tonight. So. Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. Any creative thing out there is copyright protected, right? So any picture you have, anything on Facebook, anything on YouTube, anything anywhere is always copyright protected. And the only way that you're allowed to use it is if someone says you can. So for example, my thumbnail includes the cover art for Mickey Mouse for this game. That cover art is copyrighted. I do not have the rights to use that image in my thumbnail normally. Now, I would argue that since it is not something that I am doing for profit, and it is a minor use, and it is, you know, the purpose and character and blah, 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 like, you can make arguments around how you're using the content, which is based on a fair use justification, and there's a lot of complexities in that, and, you know, you would want to talk to a copyright lawyer and figure out what you're supposed to do. I wonder if I have to jump on it while it's rolling? I tried jumping on his head, and that didn't work. Maybe I have to bounce on him while he's rolling. Oh, I did do that. Okay. Okay. That's the trick. I'm commenting on it all the way. Is my use of this game fair use? No. My use of this game is not fair use. My assumption is that the game developer in this case does not have a problem with it. But you know, I am not of the opinion, and I think that, you know, this varies a lot depending on what you're doing, but playing through all of the game, I think it would be really hard to call fair use. That's exactly the type of thing that you would want to obtain a license for. With no explicit statement, I am, you know, and specifically, with no explicit statement and with YouTube having a system that allows copyright holders to make claims if they are the game publisher or developed publisher around the content of the game, I am personally making the determination that I think a copyright holder which believed this to be copyright infringement could take steps that would allow them to say, you know, this is not something we're okay with. And I think that is something that we have seen from Nintendo. Nintendo's use of game clips in the Content ID system is something that shows their intent to allow people to, you know, use their clips, but they want to monetize them or other things like that. And I think that, you know, Disney or whoever made this game could probably do that too. Hello, Mr. 32. Hello, Stingray. Hello, hello. But yes, thank you again, Barbara, for $2 for Super Chat for good to the Creative Commons. So yeah, you know, and this is a consideration that I've had to make, you know, before in my life. For example, when I had Hawk vs. Drone, which went viral, I, you know, had to look at some of those uses and say, do I think these things are fair use? You know, and there's a couple of questions there. That's interesting. Oh, I was like, that's interesting. The exit's right there. That seems like a very short level, but of course I'm missing a key. And so I had to look at that, and so you can actually find, although I think it won't be up right now, my blog is down, but I actually wrote a blog post considering whether the use of Hawk vs. Drone in compilation videos was fair use. And I kind of evaluated it, and what I said at the time was, no, it's not fair use. According to, you know, the case law that exists and all these things out there, it is very unlikely that a court would find fair use in this case. and I, you know, whatever. But I'm going to let these videos stand because I think they should be fair use. I think that we should have a broader definition of fair use as established by the courts, and it's something that I wish existed in the world. That's actually a position that I changed later on, and the reason is because what I realized is that so many of the people who were including my video in compilation videos, their entire business model is just taking other people's content and making money off of it, right? And so I found Hawk vs. Drone used in videos that had 20 million, 30 million views, and their whole channel was just like every month they would take funny drone videos and they would aggregate them, and they were making, you know, billions of views off of this. And after thinking about that, I was like, you know, it feels really shitty. Like, it's exactly the type of thing that people pay licensing fees for in the rest of the media world. To take advantage of this because these are YouTubers who are small is ridiculous. So, thank you very much, Amadeus. I appreciate it. So that was a pretty quick run. So we'll play through this game a couple times and see if we can make it a little bit further. I do have Game Genie codes in my back pocket just in case. We don't want to be here stuck all night. We want to make it through this game. So, but yeah, so I don't know. Now different people can disagree. One of the things, hey, Fruiter, good to see you. One of the things that, you know, people often talk about is the game for fair use? Is there, you know, is this a replacement of the game? Is this, you know, something where they're making a lot of commentary? Is it something where they're doing a lot of, you know, these other things, right? And so I think that is absolutely the case that, like, when I did my review of the original Tomb Raider game, right? I ended up using like 2 minutes of Tomb Raider footage, and I did a review, and I was using the footage that I was giving to demonstrate like different aspects of the game, like QuickTime events and the really pretty scenes and stuff like that. Now in that video, in that review video, I definitely had copyrighted material, the game, you know, assets and everything else like that. Thank you very much, Leif Amadeus, were all, you know, things that are copyrighted material, but I was commenting on it. I was using a small amount. The purpose and character of the use was for a review. It is a case where I think that although it is using copyrighted material, it is something that would be covered by fair use. That is not the case for, you know, most of my, you know, live streams. I think that another case where you could imagine that claim being made is when I did Pinball Arcade. So in Pinball Arcade, rather than demonstrating like every feature of a table or other things like that, what I did was I was playing the game for long enough to demonstrate kind of the core features of it, and then I was commenting on, like, here's an aspect of this table, here's the history of this table, here's all these other things. And so I play each table for like 15 minutes. You would see enough of the gameplay to be, you know, maybe intrigued by it, but not so much that you wouldn't, you know, that it would place the game. Another thing, of course, is in the case of like platformers versus pinball games. Like pinball games, platformers, a lot of the point some people might claim is story. And so for me to do this, I'm kind of replacing the work because now you've seen the story. And that's the type of thing that actually does make a difference in fair use arguments. So it's a scary Mickey. It's not a scary Mickey. It's a pretty normal Mickey. So the animation of this game, like I said, so this is an early Sega Genesis game, but it still reminds me a lot of the Lion King. Lion King and Aladdin. Very similar kind of style of like animation, where there are these, I don't know what the word is for this, but these characters that are kind of like rotoscoped or something. I don't know. His ears move around his head. I mean, it's true. Mickey's ears do move around his head. It's not the scariest part of Mickey in my mind, but okay. Ah! Okay. Oh, okay, so I think... Alright, so what I'm learning is that, like, in order to jump on things, you have to press down when you're coming at them? Yes, okay. And then I can bounce. So I can do this and bounce up here. Oh, I missed. Okay. But now I know what to do. I was having trouble because I was like, I just fall through these guys when I do this. That's not what I want to do. Let me through. Oh, okay. Not gonna make it. Let's go this way. We'll bounce off these guys' heads. Okay, so that gives me that. Ugh! Okay. I don't actually care about the diamonds, and now I got 4 life, so we'll go with that. Yeah, so, I don't know. My personal opinion, and again, all of these opinions and everything else like this are mine, my own, not Google's, not YouTube's, not anything else, are, you know, my personal assessments of what current situation of copyright law is. But I've been participating in open culture and copyright debates for a long time. I helped make the original map that was on the creativecommons.org website back in 2006. So I helped them add a map to their website, and at the time you could register yourself basically as someone creating Creative Commons content. And they had like this whole map of like 6,000 people who were Creative Commons creators who had registered on the website. They don't do that anymore because Creative Commons at this point is so ubiquitous that like they don't need to convince that, you know, some people use this anymore. But it was definitely an interesting thing to do. So I would say the typical live stream is not, in my personal estimation, is not fair use. I think it is just a really hard claim to make with the current state of fair use. I think maybe it should be. I think overall, I think that there's a question of whether with games, it makes a lot of sense to apply copyright in this, like recordings of gameplay, whether it makes sense to apply copyright in the same way. But specifically, I think like Video Game Attorney has talked about this a bunch of times. And that's not gaming lawyer, but video game attorney Ryan Morrison, who works with the Morrison Partners, has talked about the fact that, like, if you're just doing a Let's Play, that's pretty much not likely to be fair use. So, all right, I have 1 gem. I have much more to do to save Minnie. The Oscars won an Emmy? All right. Yeah, so that's something that, you know, is interesting for me. But yeah, so I wish that copyright had a much shorter term. I wish that copyright lasted, you know, as short as possible. I think the initial copyright term set out in the Constitution, and keep in mind, the reason that copyright exists, the idea is to promote scientific literacy and creativity, right? And so the idea behind copyright is, okay, it would be unreasonable for you to invest a ton in a particular piece of art and then have someone just copy it, right? It didn't make sense. And so it was a concept that was built once it became straightforward to copy books. So for a long time there was no concept of copyright because like making a copy was so hard that like by the time you did that you had done something different anyway. So there was no, like, you'd want to buy it from the people who made it originally. You wouldn't want to copy it all down. Can you imagine like handwriting a copy of the Bible or something like that? Like, you know, when other people have a printing press and they can just like make copies of it, like that's a thing. But as these tools became more widely available, as it became possible for people to make copies, and especially in the digital era, we've seen this like massive shift in how people look at things, and that is something that, you know, has just changed with the times. But the idea behind copyright was that if you don't give people some exclusive term of rights, then they just won't do things. And this is similar to patents today, right? The idea behind patents is, you know, if you're going to do all this scientific research to learn something, say how to make a better cancer drug, like, you need to be able to get some reward out of it. If someone else can just copy your drug and immediately sell it, then how are you going to be motivated to continue to do that? How are you going to be motivated to, you know, do that research on the next drug if you're not being rewarded for it? You know, I have maybe different opinions on that piece, but that's the idea. But the time limit initially was short. I think, and I don't remember, it was 17 years or something like that. It was really short, and that has obviously gone away now. And so I think when Mickey Mouse originally came out, copyright term was like short. And basically every time that Mickey Mouse has been about to, I think 40 years maybe, and every time that it was about to expire, the laws have changed to be more restrictive. And so now, like, for newly created works, it's something like 70 years after the death of the author. And it's kind of hard to make the argument that, like, an author isn't going to write a book because someone might copy it 69 years after they're dead. Like, that seems like a really weird argument to make. Like, I just don't think that that makes a lot of sense. And I will buy that there are some works where, you know, there continues to be commercial exploitation of the work, and there is some value to the company who holds these rights. And frankly, like, I don't really care if Disney wants to make money off of Mickey Forever by, for example, contributing in some way to the public good, then that's fine. So, for example, if we were to have a, you know, a $10 million a year Mickey tax that would go specifically to funding new creation of unique individual characters or something else like that. Like, those are things. Like, those are things that you could think about. But I don't think that it makes sense to have things be protected forever. So I think that it is perfectly reasonable. Like, I took a picture of the Massachusetts State House. The Massachusetts State House is a building that has like a gold dome on the top, and so it's included in a book. Someone asked me for permission and said, can we include this in a book? And I said, sure, like, here, you have my permission, you can use this in your book. They were illustrating something about, like, Thomas Jefferson's use of gold domes for things, some architectural style or something. I just said, like, hey, if you can, you know, send me a copy of the book. And so I have a copy of a book somewhere in my house which talks about Thomas Jefferson and this oh god, okay, so this is bad. And my photo's in it, and that's cool. But, like, it does not make sense that 100 years from now, someone would still have to get my permission to use that photo in their book. And that's why that photo, along with all of the photos I think that I've put on Flickr, are licensed under Creative Commons, because I think people should be able to use my photos. But if I hadn't done that, then 100 years from now, someone who wanted to illustrate, like, here's the Massachusetts State House, which is a demonstration of, like, Thomas Jefferson's XYZ, would have to get permission from my estate to, you know, use that work in a book. That's crazy. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, it's like quicksand or jello or something. Yeah, like, software patents are a complex world, and I don't, like, that's a complex situation that I don't know enough about and don't want to get into. Copyright is something that I feel much more comfortable in talking about, much to the chagrin of probably Google's lawyers, but whatever. Okay, all right, so we've got flipping going on. All right. Yeah, exactly, Stingray. Like, yeah, so this is another example, right? Like, you go have your family portraits taken at Olsen Mills, right? And Olsen Mills copyrights those photos, and if you take them to a photo place, they won't make duplicates for you. Now, like, in theory, okay, like, the photographer took these pictures, they hold the copyright in it, and blah blah blah. But, like, okay, now the company's gone out of business, and it was 25 years ago, or, like, you know, and this hasn't been the case so much yet, because you know, the idea of this, like, super long copyright term that people frankly abuse is a relatively you know, maybe not recent, but not the thing that everyone, oh, I get what I was supposed to do there. But yeah, so, like, what happens when, like, the last copy of a photo of somebody is taken by some Photoshop, and they can't get rights to it, so no one will reproduce it, and it degrades over time. Like, you can't make copies of it, and they go bad. Like, photos degrade. And this is one of the same things that we've talked about a little bit with Emu Paradise, right? Is like, okay, for NES games, like, all of them have copies and the ROMs are hacked, ripped, and everything else like that. But like Laserdisc players are analog video. The discs degrade, and because these things are still covered under copyright, you can't make copies of them legally. And so, you know, if you want to do that, you've got to like choose, you know, to violate the law or whatever choice you want to make in that realm. And so as a result, there are all of these old like Laserdisc videos and games and other things like that. They're sitting in cabinets degrading because the people who have access to them are legally prevented from making copies, and so they don't. And you know, DRM has made this situation worse, right? Like, there are now games that you can't play anymore because in order to play them, you are dependent on DRM servers that no longer exist, and you're prevented from doing all kinds of things with the data. And since 2000, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, there's specific laws that you can't rip DRM or do other things like that. And so it's just like a giant mess, all caused because, you know, these content creators have exclusive rights for this extremely long time. Oh, that's bad. Hello, Proto Sam. And hello, Jose. So yes, this game actually predates Sonic on the Sega Genesis, so this game is now 28 years old, older than probably at least some of the people in the chat right now. Alright, so we got a weird boxing guy or something. And Stingray, like, that's 100% the right thing to do, right? I am 100%, you know, in the, what's it called, Martin Luther King, peaceful protest, disorderly conduct, I don't know. I am totally down with the idea of, like, look, when copyright is really stupid, I'm gonna do whatever makes sense. And that's what I did with my, like, so another example, right? The books that I was reading for the Choose Your Own Adventure stream. That's a cool, like, unique use of the Choose Your Own Adventure books. However, it is extremely likely that a strict reading of copyright would say that that was problematic, that my use of the Choose Your Own Adventure books in that way was not allowed under fair use. And with that being the case, alright, so I have to bounce on his head? Yeah, okay. I'm totally gonna die. But what did I say? I said, fuck it, right? Like, I'm going to do this Choose Your Own Adventure stream. It worked out great. I don't think that I replaced the books. And so the thing about copyright, though, is that it's not just about whether, like, copyright's not about money. Copyright is about control. So it's not, while the goal is to promote the common welfare and scientific discovery or whatever it is, I don't remember the exact text in the Constitution, money is not the primary or like the primary determining characteristic on whether a use is, you know, allowed under copyright law. Fuck. Okay. Oh, I was trying to jump over his punches, and I was like, this is freaking impossible. But ducking under them makes a lot more sense. Thanks, Proto Sam. Proto Sam and Yugi, like the two people who've played every single game in the world, as far as I can tell. Oh, fuck. I even knew it was coming. It's not actually that hard of a pattern. It's like he hops 3 times, and then I need to duck. But alright. Oh, didn't quite make it down. That time he only did it twice, though, so he's screwing with my pattern. Oh, no, he did it 3 times. I just forgot because the first one was, like, on top of me. That's 3. Duck. Do that. He's getting redder, I guess. I was like, I can't tell how dead he is, but I think that I actually can tell exactly that. Well, Sam, I've got Game Genie codes with me here tonight in case I need them. So, so far we're not doing so hot. We have already run all the way out of continues once. So my first experience with 16-bit graphics was Sonic. But yeah. So yeah, so the books from the Choose Your Own Adventure series that I did, they're no longer selling those books. They're selling different ones, and they're selling the series, but they're no longer selling those books. They were released in 1977, so they're 40 years old at this point, and would no longer have been covered under the original term that copyright was for. Now, I am 100% down with the idea that, like, and the author's still alive, or was until 2015 or so. I'm totally down with the fact that, like, he deserved to make money off of what was a really cool creation. He ran the whole Choose Your Own Adventure company, like, and for years, for decades, he did that. Like, R.A. Montgomery, who started the series, like, ran the Choose Your Own Adventure company that sold all of those books, and rebought and resold the company, like, 3 times, dealing with different people who wanted to, like, help him make it bigger, and was always trying to create reading as, like, a fun thing for kids, and he, like, deserves to get something out of that. Do I think that he necessarily, like, that I should have to ask his permission to do the live stream I did? I don't. I think it's a sufficiently transformative use that I think it should be allowed under fair use. It's a thing that I think should be, like, possible, but I think that with the current legal interpretation of fair use in courts, I don't think that would stand up. I think that that would likely be too much, and the type of thing that you would need permission from the creator for. Because they have the right to control their own work. Uh-oh. Okay. Swimming, underwater. Okay, not that way. Huh. Okay. I'm a little lost on this. Okay, so I need to go down a different path, most likely. So this one's gonna spit me back up here. I'll go this way, go down. Okay. Alright, little fishy. There we go. No! I did the same thing. So is this one, I'm gonna get to the end of this and then realize I was supposed to take the very first, like, swimmy path or something. Alright. I'm gonna have to bounce off a fish. Oh, missed. God damn it. Yeah, so I had not realized, I was saying earlier, Mike, I had not actually realized that Sonic came out as late as that. I thought Sonic was like an original pack-in with the Sega Genesis. So I learned something. Oh, by the way, take care of Orly. I didn't see you saying goodbye. Yes. So, like, I think copyright is like hugely important as a tool. I think that people should be able to control the use of their works. I think that, you know, exploitation by, you know, low-rent jerks is shitty, and discouraging that is good. And it's one of the few tools that we have for that. So, for example, when a bunch of people, like, try and take Hawk vs. Drone, and they're just like, okay, like, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna, you know, we're gonna just put it in all of our compilation videos, and we're gonna, you know, get millions of views and do no original content creation ourselves, nor even reach out to the creators and let them know their content is included. I think that's shitty behavior. And I think that copyright is the one tool that we have to resolve that. Alright, is this any better? Oh, wrong way. Alright, let's try this way then. Yeah, so, I mean, learn something new every day, Mike. That was my, my thing to learn today. Is that Sonic was not an original pack-in with the Sega Genesis when it first came out. So this game was actually part of, like, the second wave of Sega Genesis games that was released before Sonic, and then Sonic was the third wave, I guess. I just had no idea that... I don't know, I should look back, like, what was the first Sega Genesis game? I don't even know. Yeah, I think that they probably stole their idea from the Dutch police drones, though. So that was one of the things that the Dutch started doing, was training Hawks to take out drones. And everyone kind of shared that around as well. So I can't be the only thing. Oh, Altered Beast was the first game. That is interesting. I would not have expected Altered Beast to be the first game. So yeah, anyway, so one of the ways that I do my best to fight back against the copyright regime is that I use Creative Commons licensing on most of my content in order to, you know, ensure that, you know, in the case of my untimely demise, or even not, you know, people can use content for what they want. They don't have to come to me to ask for permission. There's a simple set of rules that they have to follow in order to use my content, and they can do that, and they can, you know, be super successful with it. On the other hand, I don't license everything that way. In particular, Hawk vs. Drone initially actually was listed as Creative Commons, and after I saw a bunch of people who were like, well, I can do whatever I want with it, it's Creative Commons, and we're not, for example, crediting me, which is one of the requirements of the Creative Commons Attributions license, I was like, okay, people clearly don't get this. I'm not even going to play this game anymore. Like, you're not trying to do this, you're just trying to make excuses because I caught you. And so I changed the license on that. And if anyone came to me and said, like, hey, can I use this? I said, yeah, sure. Like, that's fine. But if you're not even going to ask me, then no, you can't. And so Hawk vs. Drone is one of those things out there that, you know, in the case of my untimely demise, the only people who would have a license to use it are either, you know, my YouTube, or the licensing organization that I worked with who have a license to sell it, or people that have already gotten a license from me. And I'm not really worried about that because, like, Hawk vs. Drone is not such a key, you know, critical part of the culture that I'm really worried about it, but, you know, it's something that's true. Okay, so Altered Beast and Golden Axe were both arcade ports, right? At least I'm pretty sure Golden Axe was. And Altered Beast feels like it should be, although maybe it wasn't. Alright, so let's not get hit by that. Got bats everywhere, fish jumping. Just trying to stay up top because I always feel like the top is going to be... Like, staying at the top is one of those things you have to do, but... I'll find out that that's not possible anymore and then get totally screwed. God damn it. Yeah, okay, so there's a beast at the bottom. I've never heard of Super Thunder Blade or Revenge of Shinobi I've heard of. That's like an RPG? Maybe? Not sure. Apparently there's also an 8-bit version of this made for the Game Gear and for the Master System, which was the NES competitor that Sega had, which I didn't even know about until I was a grown-up. I actually got really confused when I first started streaming because the Genesis is also known as the Mega Drive, and I did not actually make the distinction between the Master System and the Mega Drive for a really long time, so, yeah. Oh, God damn it. Yeah, well, because Sega made basically, like, all of the, arcade boards at the time, I think. Or not all, but, like, and they're still, like, a big, like, arcade board group? Do they still do that? I don't know if they still do that, like, now, but for a long time, they made arcade boards, and so, like, all of their hardware was specialized for arcade machines, and so that was why they could do those transitions. Alright, so we are starting over, and we're gonna make it farther this time with less dying, and then we're gonna save state. Because I'm a lazy bum. Yeah, so Mega Drive is the Genesis. Master System, I didn't know about it all. I guess it was much like, so this overall Nintendo did much less well in Europe. And so Europe is a big Master System environment, and so they had a lot more of that. They also had more PC gaming, so like the DOS gaming scene was much bigger in Europe, I guess. But if I remember correctly, I don't remember exactly. But yeah, so Sega Genesis and DOS gaming in Europe, and then Nintendo was the big winner in America. Oh god. Yeah, it certainly would be a good naming for that reason. Seems silly to not take advantage of that you know, easy win, but hey, what can you do? Okay, I want to get that extra life. Okay, well, dying to get the extra life was maybe not my best plan. Of all the plans I've had, I missed that one the most. We're actually gonna do something real quick here. Da 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 da. There we go. I'm just looking at the time. So one of the things that so I'm taking German classes now, and so my German classes are on Monday and Wednesday nights. This means a couple things. One, it means that I don't have as much time free for Upgrade Cambridge, which is something that I'm, you know, very engaged in at the moment. But it also means that I'm tired. So I've been looking for a little bit shorter games. So usually I always look for like 3.5 hour 4 games. With the German class, I'm like, oh yeah, like a 2-hour game. Like that sounds like a really good idea. I think I'm gonna go with that. So this game is how long to beat. It says it's a 2-hour game. Obviously, given I've already spent 45 minutes and I'm back at the beginning, it's likely to take me longer than that. But I definitely am leaning a little bit more towards the early side of the evening. Yeah, and then Brazil was really, like, they had so much of the, like, all-in-one carts. Like, they had a huge bootleg ecosystem that was, like, really big there. And so, I don't know what these diamonds do. I guess they give me money or something. Oh, shit. Okay. So I figured out what this sign is supposed to mean. It's supposed to mean go back here and jump on the ghost. So the fact that I made it across without jumping on these ghosts at one point is probably a bug. So yeah, I think, so Celso's based in Brazil, and I think we've had a couple other Brazilians over time, and it's just, like, interesting to think about how much that is a thing. Oh, I never posted a message in Discord about streaming. I should do that, sorry. Copy video URL, tell Discord, at everyone, hi, I am streaming. There we go. Just in case. Not that anyone actually uses my Discord. I'm sure everyone turns off the, like, everyone announcements in my Discord, but I do still feel like I should be a responsible streamer. I don't post on Twitter anymore because I found out I was getting no clicks and I didn't really feel like I needed to take up people's timeline, but how fast do I type? I mean, like, how fast I type is almost irrelevant because it's so rare that I can type faster, I can think faster than I can type. I'm almost always typing faster than I can think, so unless I'm copying something, it doesn't really matter. But if I'm copying something, or if I'm doing like a typing test or something else like that, somewhere between 95 and 105 words a minute. Yeah, I mute all announcement channels. I turn off everyone on every, it's like the first thing I do when I get to a Discord server is I turn off everyone. And then I don't mute announcement channels, but I do, like, I just don't have everyone on, so I ignore them. But yeah, so I type 95 to 105 words a minute if you're gonna stick me in a corner and make me do a typing test. Depends a little bit on the day and how tired I am and stuff like that. Oh, come on! What's going on here? I want you to die. There we go. 1 gem down, 6 to go. Are you guys getting a lot of buffering? Are you all getting a lot of buffering? Yeah, so I think that's... Okay, no buffering. Okay, just me. Then I won't worry about it. Okay, cool. I'm just like looking at my stream in the other window and it's buffering a lot, but I don't care as long as it's not bothering you. Cool. Oh, Yugi, are you still here, by the way? I have interesting thing to tell you, and I want you to tell you when you're actually like able to type in the chat. Alright, what are you doing here? Get out of here. Oh, I'm out of things. I was like, I want to throw a marble, but I can't because I have no marbles. I've lost my marbles. I will take that. Oh, that's not the right way to go though, so I will take that and then go back the other way. Stingray has been playing the messenger, I think. That's the Ninja Gaiden one, right? And it has all the keys. I helped you find the key in the sunken temple. Oh god. No, I helped you find the sunken temple. That's right. Sunken Shrine. Sorry, Sunken Temple's World of Warcraft. Ah! Okay, so this is a thing that I really don't like about some games. Like, so there's a left edge of the screen. When you touch the left edge of the screen, you like stick to it. So you have like momentum holding you back. And I don't expect it, because I expect it like, here if I run into a block and I start walking, I walk right away. But if I do this at the edge of the screen, like, see how there's that like half second of like standing there? Like that's, ugh, gross. Protosam, it's a Yeti. In hindsight, I'm not convinced that I should have gone with the Yeti over the Snowball when I bought it. Since then, I've been happy to have it sometimes because it being directional means that it doesn't pick up as much noise from behind my computer. Or behind my, behind it, because my computer's over there, but... I guess I have not been... I need to, like, see if I'm following you still, Mike. I might not be. Because I didn't ever see you streaming. I feel like if you stream that much, I might have seen it. Then again, it's probably just that I'm not actually watching many streams anymore. I've been, watching a lot of other stuff, maybe, but... I don't know. Lately, I've been trying to watch Netflix, I've been watching a lot of Netflix. I watched through all of The Office. I'm watching The Good Place, and then I also realized that Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown is going off Netflix on October 1st, so I'm like trying to like speed run my way through that. So I'm currently like partway through season 2 of Parts Unknown. I think it's very unlikely I will make it through 6 seasons of Parts Unknown episodes that are each an hour long, but I really am enjoying that. I think Bourdain does a really great job of like addressing and talking to and about the local culture in an interesting way. It's just harder for me to binge watch it because I really enjoy a lot of like hearing a lot of the stories, and so like respectful treatment of the like Israeli-Palestinian debate in a food documentary show is an interesting thing to see. So combine my current love of like thinking about all things documentary with really interesting material has been good. Alright, get out of here. Oh god. Oh no! What the friggity frick? Seriously? I was like, aha! I have found the solution. I will, like, hit you with a marble, and then I won't have to jump on your head. And it turns out that that is not a solution, because then his little unicycle rolls into me. Which I guess makes sense. I mean, where else is the unicycle gonna go, but... Yeah, I don't know that Discovery doesn't seem to do a lot of Netflix-y stuff, which sucks, because I would also love to have Gold Rush on Netflix. One thing I will say is that unlike a lot of other shows, I have torrented every. Speaking of copyright, I have torrented every episode of Gold Rush and never gotten a complaint to my ISP. So unlike HBO shows, I do not think that Discovery does active monitoring of BitTorrent for people who are torrenting Gold Rush. So if you want, I would say torrent it. But I also know that some people are slightly less blasé about copyright violations than I am. I think you can also actually, so you can buy the seasons on YouTube, but they're sufficiently expensive that it's really hard for me to make the argument that that's compelling. Like, I would pay $20 for access to all of them, but it's $20 a season, and like 20 bucks a season when there's like 7 seasons is so much money for someone who hasn't started it. So it's 20 or 30, I don't even know. And then YouTube TV doesn't have Gold Rush or doesn't have Discovery, so you can't do that. I don't know. There's got to be a better way to get it, but I don't know. And that, for the record, this is something that I do not feel that copyright law needs to change to accommodate. I feel that the networks should do more to accommodate wanting to watch their shit, you know, legally for a reasonable price. I feel like oftentimes they're way, way too aggressive in thinking about like, oh, we can get $1 bajillion off of this, so. Well, so Mike, in torrenting, just like leaving your network connected after you finish downloading it acts as a form of giving back, right? So you give back by providing your network access as a seed of a torrent. So. Another thing that's the result of, you know, copyright laws, by the way, is we have lost, you know, for example, the BBC doesn't have all of the episodes of Doctor Who. There are, like, missing tapes of some episodes of Doctor Who that there's just no originals for anymore. If we had a culture where, you know, making copies for some things was more straightforward or legally allowed or other things like that, then you could imagine that there might be copies out there that people can find. So there's literally like episodes of Doctor Who where if you have a copy of it anywhere, like you tell the BBC and they're like, oh, we love you. So yeah, so the biggest problem with cable going a la carte is that ESPN is too expensive and everything else is really cheap, and nobody wants you to know that. Especially because like ESPN is owned by, isn't ESPN owned by like ABC, which owns like a massive, is part of like I don't know, some massive like cable conglomerate now. So like our entire media ecosystem is just this giant you know, mess of interconnected companies that all own each other and everything else like that. Yeah, so ESPN is owned by Disney, which also owns ABC. Yeah, so the problem, but so it's not about you. Like, you're perfectly fine with ESPN being expensive, because you wouldn't pay for it, but they basically use like, but everyone who like who wants ESPN would be like, I don't want to pay that. Why is that so ridiculously expensive when all the other channels are so cheap? It would remove this entire like facade that they have around that. And so like Disney Channel, ESPN, like ABC, they're all owned by one company, and they don't want you to know how much you pay for each of them, because then you'll be like, oh, I don't want ESPN anymore, and then they won't get as much money off of ESPN. And so they are motivated to keep you buying these package deals where they get paid for ESPN because you want to watch the Discovery Channel, and to not offer licensing that allows it to be sold separately. And so without licensing that allows it to be sold separately, like, you get into those weird situations. And so that's why, like when YouTube TV started offering, like, Time Warner channels or something like that, it was like, oh, price has to go up by $5 a month because, like, there's that. But, yeah, it's complex. So yeah, I think that the reason that a la carte is not offered is because the cable companies are in bed, and in some cases are the same company as the big media providers, and they are motivated to get you buying big package deals because otherwise you would only spend like $10 a month on your TV, and they would get, you know, only $10 a month instead of $70. Maybe there's a more charitable interpretation, but when you're dealing with massive oligarchical, you know, capitalist corporate schmucks, I generally assume the worst of intentions, and 99% of the time I'm right. So I don't like you, bats. I don't like you, and I don't want to deal with you. Yeah, so Disney's going to start a streaming service this year, next year, something like that. And it's going to be pricey. And I think that it'll be interesting to see how that changes the overall ecosystem, right? So, like, now CBS is doing their own streaming service, and Disney is going to do their own. God damn, this level sucks. So this level is definitely, you know, so we've talked before about some games have levels put in them that are, so like in Lion King, the level where you have to get thrown around by the monkeys and you have to roar at them and everything else like that, it was a level put in early in the game specifically to deter renters, or rather to ensure that renters couldn't finish the game. The idea was it would take a long time. I don't understand why exactly, because that seems like the most simple, trivial, basic challenge to me. Like, it's only like, you know, like 6 binary combinatorials. Like, there's not that many options, but whatever. But yeah, so they added this level so that renters would be less likely to be able to beat the game during their rental period. And I like, this level feels like it's the same way. Like, you're just gonna like lose at this level a bajillion times because of all these tiny little platforms, and you're not gonna be able to beat the game if it's a rental. Now, if you have a Game Genie and you can put in the infinite lives code, or infinite tries code rather, then that's a different story. But we have definitely died 4 times here already, and that would probably be enough to knock us out of the running on this, so interesting. So yeah, maybe it's gonna change. Maybe Disney has decided that providing access to their content is worth it. It would be really interesting to see that. It has always been the case that I believe that way too many content providers are. I mean, Star Tropic's form of DRM is probably the single coolest DRM there is, right? So Star Tropics required you to have a letter that you would get a code on. Without the code, you can only progress to like 1/3 of the game. And in order to get the code off of the letter, you had to soak the letter in water to get the secret code to show up. And so, like, at one point in the game, it's like, soak the secret letter that you got in the box in water. And, of course, this is something that, like, the rentals didn't come with, like, the full game. They you know, they wouldn't have all these things, so they would, yeah. They wouldn't have that item for people to play, since they couldn't rent it. But yeah, so I'm always curious, like, for the game designers, how much of, like, the difficulty comes from what avenue. Oh shit. Okay, good. Is this designed to be difficult for people to beat in one weekend? Is it designed to be, you know, problematic for them to accomplish without a guide? Like, what is your motivation and what is your plan? Okay, 1 frog down. 2 frogs down. 3 frogs down. The bosses are not super challenging. Hello, gaming lawyer. Rental difficulty, yeah. Oh, man. So that's the third gem, I think. Foodereer was here earlier, Gaming Lawyer. And we were talking about copyright for a long time. That was actually one of my first introductions to Gaming Lawyer. Is that Game Dojo mentioned he was on, or we rated him, or something else like that. And I went and hung out with him for a little while, and I asked him what he thought about whether video game live streams were fair use. And he gave me his non-copyright lawyer, but his you know, opinion on that matter. Oh god. Okay, so those things look like they go underwater and would probably kill me if I'm standing on them at the time, so you just gotta keep hopping, hopping, hopping. Oh, a candy cane bridge. Oh god. Music is speeding up. I wonder if, like, the level gets unplayably fast or something. Or if the music is just going faster for no good reason. Yeah, that does kill me. God damn it. Fucking A, man. Indeed. Oh, god. So save files are interesting, right? Because, like, a save file is a purely mechanical description of some game state. So I think there's a reasonable argument as to whether a save file is copyright. And by the way, this is why if you look in like the modding community, like if you look at like the Link to the Past randomizer, or if you look at, you know, like people who make like Super Mario Brothers 3 hacks or other things like that, like they don't give you, typically, they won't give you a copy of the ROM. And that's because they know that they're in a like gray area where they want to explicitly like not piss off their copyright holders as much as possible. And so what they do is they won't take the copyrighted material, they won't give you a copy of it. And so you've got to get your own copy of the ROM via, you know, of course, legal means, blah, 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 blah. And then once you get, oh, that was interesting. I already got a gem. All right. And so they only distribute the patch. They only distribute their changes to the ROM and not the ROM. It's like a patched ROM itself. So then you have to like find patching tools and use them to apply them and everything else like that. So that's like one way in which you know, copyright plays a role in the modding community, is that now you've artificially increased the difficulty to get access to these things, and so people can't necessarily, you know, do them as broadly or whatever else like that. I mean, like, how many times have I told people that I play on an emulator, and they're like, oh my god, like, how hard is that? Or like, how is that possible? Or other things like that, because we have just like completely, like, you know, established that games that are 40 years old, you're not allowed to like go play them, even if like nobody gives a shit. And even the original people who developed the game can't like license it to you, because all of the rights were granted to some publisher that went out of business, like defunct and went out of business 40 years, 30 years ago. Like who owns the rights to Yar's Revenge? Like God knows who does. But that's like the classic Atari game, and no one can get the rights to distribute it and do things with it. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, for informational purposes only. Yeah, exactly. And so the idea that they're trying to like do that. So I think that those videos, unless they're distributing content, what the hell? Okay. Do I want to not touch these things? Yes, I want to not touch these things. Okay. I think I found a secret is what happened here. Which I didn't actually care to do, because, you know me, I don't care about secrets, but... By the way, hello, Brad Pritchard. I have a pre-recorded angry rant, Brad. It involves Linus Torvalds and Nazis. The best kind of rant. How do I, what? Shit. But yeah, so the for informational purposes only is an attempt to, like, claim an exemption to copyright law. It's not. Like, if you're using copyrighted materials, it is still, like, you know, a violation of copyright law to do these things. Now, oftentimes they're not, right? They're not, like, they're giving you a how-to that doesn't use any copyrighted materials from the NES or whatever. And that's, like, smart. Because that means that the Nintendo doesn't have room to take down your video for some other reason, right? So, like, if Mario is in the thumbnail of your video, or the NES controller, or other things like that they have a copyright on, then even though, like, the content of your video might not be... Like, if you use the Hawk vs. Drone thumbnail as your thumbnail for your video, and then your video contains other stuff in it. Like, I still own the copyright on the Hawk vs. Drone thumbnail. Like, I used that thumbnail in the video, and I think that it's a picture I took. I own the rights to that. And I would be happy to make the argument that, like, you know, that's not fair use to use it in your own video like that. In most circumstances, and so I could have your video taken down because you used my thumbnail, even if you didn't use any other content from Hawk vs. Drone, because I own the copyright on that. Now, I typically don't do that except when I find, like, spammers who are doing it to try and trick people, but I could if that was, you know, the route that I wanted to take. I don't know where the fuck I'm going. All right, A. Fucking A, man. Hasbro owns Yar's Revenge, really? Yeah, so that's actually one thing that I have meant to get taken care of. There's a person on Fiverr who does, like, draw you as a yellow cartoon character. It doesn't say Simpsons, of course, because, you know, that would be pissing off the gods, the powers that be at Fox. But yes, draw you as a yellow cartoon character is an option that you can do on Fiverr, and I've been meaning to do one, like, take a picture of myself in that Homer Simpson position, and then have them draw me in that, like, pose, and then replacing that emoji. I just never got around to it because I'm a lazy bum. Alright, let's go in here and hope this is the right way. Okay. I'm just gonna crouch here. Oh, can't get from that side. You can only throw one thing at you per time your head comes up. Or rather, I can only hit you one time. Oh! Okay, throwing takes slightly longer than I thought. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Simpsons been around since I was 5. I guess I was younger than Lisa? It was 1989, right? Oh, come on. I don't know how old Homer is. 36? Oh, no! Okay, it's fine. Okay, so he's changed up his pattern, and now it's much more difficult to dodge. I have to actually do work here. Oh, come on! I was on his head. God damn it. Alright, well, this is going to be much harder than it was last time. But yeah, Brad, I figured since I was playing Mickey Mouse, I should have tonight's Super Chat for Good charity be a Creative Commons Foundation or corporation, technically, whatever. Felt like that was a reasonable trade-off. So far, they've made $4 off of Mickey Mouse, which is the right way to use Mickey Mouse. Use and abuse. All right. Here is the blue gem. Okay, what do I want to do? Oh yeah. Fiverr. There we go. This game is hard. It's much easier when you have an unlimited number of lives. Super Chats for Good are tax deductible. Yes, they are. You get a receipt that has the tax ID in the thing. Of course, although people are always concerned about tax deductibility, I should note that almost no one is in a tax bracket where worrying about tax deductibility makes a significant difference on your tax experience. So just keep that in mind, that tax deductibility is oftentimes less important than you might wish it was, because it makes almost no difference. So this is the I will draw you as a yellow cartoon character. So they'll do a face portrait for $10, looks like this. They also have a $30 one, which is full body, or you can get a $100 one with 5 figures, 2 revisions, full body, color, high resolution, etc. So you can see the different things. So basic, standard, or like a couch scene. So this is a case where, like, so you can't copyright a style. Like that, like, this isn't copying some specific piece of art. I think whether this couch scene is a derivative work of a Simpsons couch scene is arguable, but Fox probably doesn't actually care. But yeah, so this is something you can do for $10, $30, or $100, and I've considered doing the, you know, the ranting Homer image as a $10 Fiverr, you know, thing. So yeah, just get that done of me. Mortgage interest was actually not put to an end. It was going to be, but they couldn't get that through. They weren't going to have enough votes. because the Republicans who love to cut taxes don't love to cut deduction. It was dumb. The whole thing was dumb. Like, we're going to cut all deductions except for the ones that help rich people. So state and local taxes and mortgage interest deductions stayed in, at least in 2017, like 2018 taxes. We'll see what happens next year. Yeah, that's right. Because it's the type of thing that, like, it has no impact on people who rent. So poor people don't get any benefit from it, but people who have multi-million-dollar houses really want to be able to write off that mortgage interest. So anyway, yeah. So that was the thing I wanted to show. Draw you as a yellow cartoon. Which I've always thought was funny that they phrased it that way. Yeah, no, that's right. Like, art style is not copyrightable, so you can copyright Homer, but the couch scene as drawn there is a very close facsimile that is clearly intended to, like, mimic the style, and so whether that would be so that's not the style, but like the specific scene, And so that's a case where I don't know how that would be seen if someone were to fight over it. And that's one of the reasons why they don't say draw you as a Simpsons character, is because they don't want to have a fight over it. They don't want to fight with Fox. They don't want to fight with anybody else. They just want to be able to do cool things for people in a way that has no negative impact on anything. But if you'll remember, Zoe Berger, who was the semi porn cam girl on YouTube Gaming at one point, she was using Zoidberg as her sub image, and Fox actually sued her over it, presumably because some lawyer somewhere was like, this is tarnishing our reputation, and so she actually got into a lawsuit over it. Her lawyer must hate her because she did all this commenting about it on social media. She thought she would win. So whether that's a fair use of that image is something that I think is reasonably, reasonable lawyers can disagree on that. And Fox's lawyers were clearly just being overzealous anyway. They were not. It is my opinion that they were acting in a way which is consistent with how big corporations sometimes act, which is acting as if they had more power than they actually did. But they actually sued her, or sent a cease and desist. Maybe they didn't sue. They sent a cease and desist. So, yep. Game mechanics cannot be protected by copyright. That's right. So a copyright protects a fixed form of representation. So it has to be, it's not an idea, it's not a description, it's not even a whatever, but there is such a thing as derivative works, and so if you take something performing a derivative is something that is an exclusive right of copyright holders. And so you do not have the right, for example, to adapt a novel to a movie form and have it be not copywritten or whatever the word for that is. You at that point, the author has the exclusive right to create derivative works, and so unless you had the permission of the author or bought a license or whatever else like that, then you wouldn't be able to. Oh shit! Oh, purple shit! Come on! Not happy about that. I was actually feeling like I was doing pretty well. I had 3 life still, and just picked up another one. I was feeling pretty good, but no, purple shit's got to go and wreck me. I see how it is, purple shit. I see you. Anyway, yeah, so I don't know. I wish the biggest thing that we could do, which would be a positive net win for the world and would have almost no negative repercussions whatsoever, would be to simply establish that after a certain amount of time you have to register a copyright, otherwise it falls into the public domain. So there is just so much abandoned works, so many abandoned works out there that will practically speaking take a very, very long time, or actually can never be established to be firmly in the public domain because the author is unknown. So who is the creator? So the author, the lifetime of copyright is death of the author plus 70 years or 75 years or 130 years or whatever else like that. I don't know off the top of my head. But if you don't know who the author is, how do you know that they're dead? How do you know it's been 70 years since they died? That's not copyright. Play of the game is short. I mean, maybe you could get a copyright on that, but I doubt it. That would typically be a trademark. So short names, Kmart is trademarked. So you can't call your business Kmart if it, and there's a whole, trademarks are much more restricted in what you can't do with them, right? So you can put Kmart in a story that you're writing about Kmart. You have some responsibility to not make yourself confusable with Kmart. So you can't call your, budget retail store Kmart. You can't call, XYZ. But maybe you could have Kmart. I don't know. There's there's limitations on what trademark gets you. And generally speaking, like, short phrases will be trademarkable or trademarked. And that can also be, like, there's design trademarks and there's all these other... So the 3 core types of intellectual property that are talked about are copyright, or, yeah, 4, I guess. Copyright, trademarks, patents, and trade secrets. Trade secrets are maybe not... I don't know, it's a little bit different because they're not like you register them or whatever. It's just like, if you don't tell anyone else something, then it can be a trade secret, and you can have some protection in court if one of your employees goes and takes your trade secret somewhere else and sells them or whatever. So trademarks are a tool for protecting like how something is represented. So if I'm Kmart, I don't want people, or Xerox, or Google, I don't want people to just be able to say, like, it's the Google font when it's not created by Google, the big company that does all these things. Or, oh, fuck, again. Yeah. And so, that's where trademarks come in, is that they have some, and so like Nintendo actually registered a trademark on the classic Nintendo controller, like a design trademark on it in like 2015, which means that, and you can't copyright a controller design, right? So if you were to draw artwork of the NES controller, it would be, you know, oh fuck, like that's not a copyrighted thing, and so you wouldn't be able to, you'd be able to do that except if it's trademarked. And so in 2015, they actually registered a trademark on the NES controller, and as a result, like, my user icon is using the Nintendo trademark. Now, Nintendo, if they were going to say, like, hey, you know, you're being confusing to people by pretending that this is the real, like, Nintendo channel or something like that, would have the right to make that argument and send me a cease and desist and say, like, hey, you know, you're not allowed to use our trademark in this way. If they were to do that, I would probably just change it because I don't care that much, but I do think that they would be in the wrong, personally. His jump is not that annoying normally, no. So it's a lot, it feels a lot like the Aladdin or Lion King games on Sega, which neither one of them felt like annoying. The floaty jumps didn't feel annoying. I want to see if there's like life over here that I'm missing or something. No, just nothing. Yeah. And frankly, like, if they wanna, if they feel uncomfortable with it, like, I'm just gonna be nice about it. I don't need to get in a fight with Nintendo. I don't care. And I also, judging by the fact that they have not sent me such an email or letter or whatever, it seems pretty clear that they don't really care either. Oh shit. But yeah, so overall, the jump isn't too annoying. Overall, the gameplay and the controls feel pretty good. The biggest thing that I found, like, a minor problem with is the, you get caught on edges. So if you're all the way on the left edge or the right edge of the screen, and you try and go, like, back left, it will take an extra half second for you to start walking. Don't really love that. So I know that there are, like, stars this way. So do this. See if we can get this guy to come back this way. Come on, buddy. Over here. Yeah. There's a lot of things on Fiverr that are pretty low value. But anyone who charges $10 as a minimum is probably slightly better quality, as you saw from my Simpsons example. Oh, fuck you! God damn. I don't like those things. You know, I'm used to chomps in Mario, or not chomps, thwomps in Mario. They have a very particular style that I think is pretty good for that type of attack, and this one definitely does not feel as good. And yes, Mike, I'm sure you're right. If they really wanted to, they could probably find a way to kill me, but... Alright, so my goal is that I'm gonna make it to the right this time and actually get these extra stars. Let's see how that goes. Yeah, it does feel like it should feel bad, but it doesn't. Like, just looking at it carefully, it's like, oh, this feels gross, but it actually doesn't, so it's interesting. I hadn't even thought about it until you asked. Ah! God damn it. I don't really want to, like, come back here and then go back over there and then come back here and then go back over there, but I'll try it one more time. This time I won't kill the first one, so there's a backup in case I bollocks it up again. Okay, so I think that was the trick, actually, is to jump off of the weapon rather than on the enemy. Alrighty. So, have you used Fiverr for some of your stuff, Leif? Because I know you found an artist you liked for some of the things you've been doing. Oh, shoot, right. I was like, okay, I'm gonna carefully avoid trouble this time, forgetting that this one works very different from that one. Oh, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, because you got your video translated into Japanese to see if that would increase your visits from Japanese viewers. Which I think you determined it worked, but the retention on Japanese viewers was pretty low because they were, like, coming in and, you know, there's a Japanese description, but your video is obviously... Oh, and then you got translations for the captions too, right? God damn it. Like, I go through all this work to get these extra, like, hearts, then I don't take any damage, and then I die. Like, stupid purple goo. I do not like this, like, take me down a hill directly into something that kills me. I don't like that. Hey, almost 7,000 views. I don't feel like that's paying for itself yet, right? You ended up paying, like, 50 bucks for all the stuff you got, if I remember correctly. Come on. Yeah. Maybe that paid for the description translation, right? Was that just $5 or no? Was that more than that too? Fall. Yeah, so there's two things that I don't like about this series of thwomps. One is there's no way to tell which thwomps fall and which ones don't, which I don't like. One is that I think these gaps are too narrow and the thwomps are kind of slow to react, which is super annoying. And the third is maybe just that. Like, some of them you can walk right under. I guess that's the thing about thwomps in Mario. If you are running at a clip, I think that thwomps will never hit you. And I feel like I can't do the same thing here, and that's frustrating. Okay, what I'm gonna do... This is just... Yeah, oh. An error saving state. I can't save state? That's weird. Okay, well, so much for that then. Okay. Gonna jump at the bottom. Ugh! Okay. Got it. So the problem with doing that is that because I killed both of those platforms, I couldn't get back up. Alright, I got at least one back. Okay, got them both. Cool. Okay, there's purple at the bottom of this. Also don't love that, like falling directly into something you can't see, which instantly kills you. Not cool. And it's one thing if you're doing it such that, like, okay, now you've learned and it's pretty easy to get back there, but that is definitely not what is happening here, so. Hey, a gem. Thanks. I only need one more gem! I'm gonna go get it and save Minnie. It's a good thing Mickey doesn't appear to have breath limits, because I'm underwater for a long time here. Uh-oh. Oh god! Wow. So I assume that that means, because you got a bunch of, like, English speakers watching it originally, so that probably means that, like, since you, like, now all of its watch time these days is Japanese. Practically speaking. Oh god. Okay. Oh no! What? Ah! Don't like that. I was thinking that they were like the stompers in Sonic or whatever, which you can't walk through, but I was wrong. Little did I know. Hey! Ah! Well, that was not exactly what I meant to do, but sure, I'll take it. I just jump in between those pistons there, no problem. This level's hard. Definitely this game ramps up the difficulty a lot towards the end here. I can see how, as a child, this might be extremely difficult to beat. I think I've died definitely more times than I have continued so far. I can imagine getting good at this game, good enough at this game to beat it as an adult, but as a child, I don't know. It seems unlikely. It's definitely no Chippendale's Rescue Ranger, I'll tell you that much. Ah! It's all about the perfect timing. Also, Bat, you need to die. There you go. The original Mega Man is not just difficult for its time. Without the select pause trick, like, the original Mega Man feels effectively impossible. Like, even today. And so, like, if you didn't know about the select pause trick, like, better just expect to not beat Mega Man, because how the hell are you going to beat Yellow Devil without it? Not that it's impossible, I know that people do, but as someone who, that was one of the first games that I played, was Mega Man, and I wanted to play through them all in order, because I never had, and so I started out with Mega Man 1, and it's only because someone who was in my chat was, like, telling me what to do that I figured out that... And initially, like, I didn't have the CPG rule of CPG should always cheat. And so, like, I was like, oh, well, I don't want to use the select trick. That's cheating. And then when it came to like Yellow Devil, I spent like an hour and a half on it, and then I was like, you know what? This is dumb. So the next time I streamed, I used the pause trick and I beat it. Well, if 98% of the watch time on the video is Japanese, and the rest of your content on your channel isn't Japanese, it's not surprising to me that, you know, that's not the primary target. You beat this when you were 11? I did not beat this when I was 11. But yeah, the original Mega Man was hard. I mean, there's a lot of games that were hard. Like Metroid was hard, you know. Echo the Dolphin was hard. There's lots of hard games out there. I'm not trying to act like this is, you know, some special snowflake in that regard, but Proto Sam was in particular saying that he had played it as a child and not beaten it. It's like, yep, I can definitely see that. Echo the Dolphin is not your favorite game. Your favorite game is Super Mega Baseball, or Binding of Isaac is your favorite game. Binding of Isaac is your favorite game, Pirates is your favorite NES game. I guess neither one of those is Sega, so you gotta come up with a different Sega game that's your favorite. Which I don't actually know what your favorite Sega game would be. So, coming up in about 2 weeks, I'm going to be out of town. October 1st, I'm going out to Western Mass to do college visits with Julie. My hope, assuming I can get my act together, which, you know, is difficult, is that on that day, I will be testing out the premieres feature for you. So, I went ahead and I begged a friend to give premieres for my channel. So now I have the ability to premiere videos. Premieres are just video uploads, but you can schedule them at a specific time, and you can all watch them together. So one of the reasons that I was excited about premieres is that there are times when I'm going to be gone, and I love having something live for people to, you know, watch, or, you know, because Mondays are my live night. But I can't do that if I can't do that easily if I'm not at a computer or whatever. So premieres are an easy way for me to hack around that system, and you know, you can watch a video, even watch a video without me, but still talk to other people. Mutant League Football, maybe. That seems like a reasonable guess. I didn't super love that when playing it. I loved it way more as a kid. I definitely played that a bunch on when it was on the Sega channel, which was an interesting thing in early broadband gaming. Ugh! Should bring the Sega channel back. That's what they should do. I guess there's really no need for that. You can just download all the ROMs. I don't know, so what's the closest thing to the, yeah, its understanding of Gears is perhaps a little bit confused. So Premieres is still a beta. Currently, it's rolled out to a percentage of all users, so there is no technical requirement, no sub requirement, or anything else like that. It's just rolled out to a small number of people right now, and I begged for it so that I could, basically, because I knew I was going to be gone on October 1st, and I knew it wasn't going to be rolled out to 100% of people by that point. So there's still some issues with it, like it doesn't have support for captions yet, and so they don't want to roll too much further while it still doesn't have support for captions, because then the first few people to watch your video can't see it with captions, which is bad for, like, when you have put a bunch of time into captioning your videos, to not have that accessibility feature is a problem. But of course it's a problem because, like, captions formats for live, it effectively acts like a live stream, and captions formats for live streams versus not live streams are different, and so, like, technically it's a complex thing, just like to get it implemented, but that, you know, accessibility is, like, hugely important, and so not having that for a lot of people is going to be bad. So they're trying to, like, roll it out enough that they can get the feedback they need while not totally fucking accessibility for everybody. Uh-oh. Alright, so, So yeah, it will eventually be everybody. It is currently a percentage of everybody with no limitation as to anything else on your channel. And it's just like you choose scheduled and pick a time, and there's a little premiere checkbox. So if I go to youtube.com/upload and I click on this and like I upload some random file that is small, like I have this premiere option, so I can choose scheduled. And then like choose a premiere time, and if I do that, then it'll go on my channel and be there at that time. And if you were to watch it, it would be just like a live stream, like a 2-minute countdown, and then it would play the whole video, and then it would be over. Obviously, it is like 13 seconds is bad, but and I guess this video was rejected for some reason. Oh, because I already uploaded this video. Okay. But whatever, you get the point. That's the buttons that I was showing you anyway. Okay, it is 11 o'clock. It is time for the CPG rant of the evening. This rant in particular is about Linus Torvalds, the maintainer of the Linux project, and about Nazis. So sit back, listen, enjoy. You may not learn anything, but I was very angry. My mic even clipped a couple times, so hopefully you will get something out of it, I guess. I don't know. Something like that. It is absolutely shocking to me how when anyone attempts to apply empathy and look at a situation from any perspective other than being a dickhead, somehow the people who come back and contradict it are always associated with the fucking Nazis. I'm the Chris who plays games. This is the Orange CPG rant of the evening. This past weekend, Linus Torvalds, the maintainer of the Linux project, came forward and announced that he had come to realize that his way of behaving on the Linux mailing list was harmful to the community. He apologized, and he attempted to say that he will work to do better in reaching out and establishing better norms within the community. He also said that they would be changing the code of conflict to the code of conduct and establishing a number of norms for the Linux mailing list and Linux project communities that would improve some of these things that he had seen and participated in over the years. In specific, he said, "My flippant attacks and emails have been both unprofessional and uncalled for, especially at times when I made it personal. In my quest for a better patch, this made sense to me. I know now this is not okay, and I am sorry." This is a good apology. Now, it's about 5, 10, 15 years late, and there are plenty of people who are very upset because they've tried to have this conversation with Linus many times, but he's come to realize that his behavior, his statements have been problematic and is going to work to fix it. Or at least he says he is. And that's a step. It's a huge step for someone who has been a maintainer, who has had this personality, to come forward and realize that my lack of emotional affect and the way that I interact with people, something that I have held as a deeply held personal aspect of myself for such a long time, is a problem, and I want to apologize for it and make it better. That's huge. That's huge. And I want to give credit to that. I think that that's super important. Now, he also said that, you know, it came to his attention this week, as if no one has had this conversation with him. People have written papers about the fact that Linus is toxic to the Linux developer community, but that's besides the point. Like, you can't go back and fix the past, and you can't solve everything that people are concerned about. And I don't even read his email as necessarily saying no one has tried before, but what he has said is that this time people got through to me, I will try to be better. And that's amazing. Because admitting that you're wrong and not doubling down and not sticking to it and not doing anything else like that is hugely, like, difficult. It's a difficult thing to take something that you've deeply attached to yourself and try and make it better. It's hard. So for that, I say great. And initially when I saw this, no one had responded, and I didn't know exactly how many responses something this would be expected to get, but I was like, okay, no one's responded. And so I checked back later today, and found that now people have responded, and I'm like, oh, look, all these people are going to be like, hey, Linus, thanks for, like, taking, you know, some self-stock and looking at this and trying to figure out ways to improve this community so it can be more inclusive, so it can be more accessible, so it can be more of all of the things that a community of software developers should be. In another community I'm in, creating an intentionally positive community is the phrase that we use. And Linus's first step here, his apology and his statement that he's going to take a step back and look at improving himself to realize that he has the problem and he has to fix it, is the first step towards creating an intentionally positive community. That's great. When I read the emails, of course, that was not what I found. It was not what I wanted. It was not any of those things. Instead, it was something very different. Instead, what we had is people saying, no, you can't do this. You can't just give in to the social justice warriors. You can't give in to these things. You can't give in to these other people. You need to be who you are. I think that for you to describe your behavior as wrong is wrong in and of itself, and I am upset at you for doing this. I am upset at you for saying that I believe that this is something I need to improve in myself because I don't think that way. Well, of course you don't, because frankly, if you're sitting here and saying that this behavior is okay, that personally attacking people who submit patches that you don't agree with by insulting them and their employers and their code writing skills is okay, you are engaging in most likely you want to engage in exactly the same behavior. You are part of the problem. Okay, so there's toxic people out there. There's always toxic people everywhere, right? With a big enough community, you're always going to have some toxic people. And I was like, okay, it's just one person. But it's not just one person. Of the 7 or 8 responses that he's got, almost all of them fall into this category. Except it gets worse. It gets worse. Of course it fucking gets worse. Because the people who are sitting here saying that social justice warriors are taking over and everything else like that, they come back and they're like, we need to provide evidence that codes of conduct are bad, and they're trying to be sent by people who are using emotions to blah, 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 blah. And what do they fucking link to? They link to Vox fucking Day. Vox fucking Day, the Nazi racist blogger out there who puts the 14-word slogan of the Nazis in his book about the 16 points of the alt-right. The man who is here to try and tell, who has organized hate, harassment, and doxing campaigns against all kinds of people all over the internet. This type of person is who you're using as your poster boy. Why is it always the case that people come in and say you shouldn't be empathetic, you shouldn't be emotional, you shouldn't be all those things, are working with the fucking Nazis? Every goddamn time. Vox Day has been a part of a number of doxing campaigns against Googlers, has been part of the post-to-more bullshit at Google, has been part of all of these things, and I don't know a tenth of what he has been involved in because I've really not been involved in that, but is another part of the Sad Puppies and Gamergate and all of this bullshit, which is just about attempting to prevent the changes in the world towards a more progressive, a more equitable, a more fair state from world and everything else like that from happening, is here and just trying to push his way in. And so, of course, the people who are upset at Linus for taking a step back and saying, I really need to work on myself, is sitting here and going like, well, have you read Vox Day? Have you read the Nazis? Really? Like, let's read the things from the Nazis, because that's a good role model that we should all aspire to. We should all aspire to white nationalist ethno states. Like, of course that's the thing that we should aspire. Why? Why is it every fucking time? Linus did a good thing. He came in and said, I'm sorry, I made mistakes, I did wrong, and I need to do better. I do think that perhaps he's going to find out that, you know, it's harder than he thinks. He talked about, like, implementing a swear word filter in his email as if that would fix things, and, I mean, it's more complex than that. But even setting that aside, there's more work to be done there, but he wants to do the work. He's acknowledged that he has problems, he's acknowledged that he's caused problems, and he's trying to take steps to be better. And of course, people come in and say, well, have you read the Nazis? Because it seems like really you should. Be more like them. Are you fucking serious? Why? Oh, why is it always the Nazis? I'm the Chris who plays games. This is your CPG rant of the evening. My opinions are my own and not those of my employer. Have a great night. And we're back. Maybe. Hello? Oh yeah, there we go. I was like, I can't see my thingy. For some reason my like I've got like a, I don't know. My OBS is set up weird. Is chat still working? Okay, yes. Yeah, so one of the things that I found out while I was on the break, pulling from Leif's comments earlier, is that apparently SpaceX has announced their first private passenger to the moon will be an artist from Japan. So he'll be going to around the moon in 2023. So there you go. Congratulations. Around the moon in 2023. It only took 7 years to go back. We have lost our will, this country. It's sad. All right, let's finish up this game. Let's destroy this guy. And oh, that did not work. Also, I was just using my joystick and that did not work either. So, okay, that is not good. All right, So you're gonna jump. Okay. So I think that I have to wait until he swings and then jump on his head after that. So do this. 1, 2. God damn it. Oh, come on! I hit him? I hit him and I still took damage? What kind of crap is that? Oh, God. Alright, Red Man. Let's do it. Good Method and Red Man. Aren't they like rappers or something? Oh, God. Ah! Alright, that's 3 deaths on this boss. Let's see how many more we can get. Oh, don't. Oh, come on! Ah. 4 deaths. Count them with me, everybody. Oh, my death counter's probably like ridiculously high or something, but yeah. Okay, that's not actually the case, but whatever. So Claire, I have never played Kingdom Hearts at all, so I cannot answer that question. Hello, hello, welcome to the stream. So this is Castle of Illusion, featuring Mickey Mouse. This is a game that came out in 1990 for the Sega Genesis and was re-released in 2013 on a number of modern gaming platforms. The modern version, of course, is 2.5/3D style instead. Yeah, I just haven't, so like, I have not actually done a lot of gaming off stream for 2 decades. So I am limited mostly to what I play on stream, with a few exceptions. I've done the Tomb Raider games off stream, a couple other things like that, but not a whole lot. And so on stream, it's very hard for me to do like long RPGs because I only stream retro games once a week and modern whatever I feel like on Fridays, so once a week. And with that being the case, it's kind of hard for me to fit RPGs into that schedule in a meaningful way. And so I've never actually done Kingdom Hearts because, you know, I can't really do it on stream, and yeah. Yeah. So I just does my best and plays my games. I've watched some people play various parts of Kingdom Hearts. They seem good, but okay, I think that's the 7th gem. Now to save Minnie, I must fight the witch Mizrabel. Oh no! Sounds like that's miserable. Get it? Mizrabel, miserable. That's what they call. That's why the witch is miserable. Yeah. All right, let's go, Mickey. You and your copyrighted self can come and take this witch out. Alright, we're gonna make a bridge. Okay. I got no items. Oh god. Okay. Woo! She's scary looking. Alright, what are we gonna do here? Okay. So... I think I gotta hit her after she throws her things. Oh. Yep, okay. Ah! Alright. Alright. We're learning. That's one death. One death down, many deaths to go. Oh god. Ah, okay. So I gotta be careful not to ride those things all the way up, because if I do that, then I can't actually get back down to her, and I will take damage if I'm not careful. And I want to be close, but not too close, because then I take damage from those things when they're spinning. Oh! Ugh! Got her! One down, one hit. One hit down, one hit down. Got it! 2 hits down. It's one thing I've learned for myself is that I really don't like it when I don't know how many hits I've done or how many hits I need, so keeping track makes me feel like I'm making progress, or lets me know that I'm not making progress and need to change my approach. Either one is useful for me. 3 hits down. I will say that some of the boss fights so far have been a little bit underwhelming. Okay, is that 4? I think that's 4. As far as some of them have kind of easy approaches that you can use to just cheese them. Especially like that first spring boss. He wasn't too hard. Okay. And hit 5 hits. Uh-oh. Oh, that's it? 1 death? Alright. I'll take it, I guess. Uh-oh. Little Witch is gonna lead me to safety? Oh, I guess we took off in a ship. That castle definitely looks a bit like the shape of Neuschwanstein, which is, of course, the castle in Germany built by a mad king, after which the Magic Kingdom castle was patterned. So, the more you know. I mean, Neuschwanstein was a castle that was hanging on a painting in my house for many, many years, so that one has been something I know in the family. But today I did learn how to say ich arbeite als no. Ich arbeite via Google. Ich arbeite als software engineer. So I'm probably butchering that, but yeah, I work as a software engineer and I work at Google, were the things that we learned how to say today. We also learned at the very end how to ask where someone works, but I didn't really understand that, remember those words, so. Yeah, I put this in Discord because I knew I was going to forget. I said, Ich arbeite bei Google als software engineer. I work at Google as a software engineer. Anyway, yeah, so Brad, I had mentioned earlier, because of my German classes, I've been super tired. I've got a bunch of stuff to do for Upgrade Gamers this week, so I actually was looking for a short game so I could get some stuff done before I go to bed. So this is going to be the end of the stream tonight. We're just going to do the Mickey Mouse game. On Friday, we will pick back up with Tomb Raider. Next Monday, we'll probably do another short game, and the Monday after that, I will be out and we'll do something. Yeah, so we'll be finishing up Tomb Raider. Maybe not this Friday, but we'll do it the next Friday if not, and we'll play some stuff. We've still got Whip My Hair Back and Forth Shantae that we will be finishing up. I need to go back and do some grinding to pick up items, but we are not going to just leave that behind forever, because I was enjoying it once I realized the game was a little bit different than I thought it was. And yeah. If you have retro games, of course, you can always recommend them to me. The game form is available via the game form link. And that is the end of Mickey Mouse. Yeah, so this is definitely a game where if I had found a Game Genie code for unlimited continues instead of unlimited lives, I probably would have taken it, but I did not find that. So here we are anyway, and that is the end of the game. I don't know what this flashing. Oh, it's Mickey and... Oh, the movie ended. That was... They put the curtain down, the movie ended, and now Mickey and Minnie are waving goodbye. Aww, Sega. I guess this predated when they had the Sega voice effect, so... Anyway... that's the game. That's the ball game. That's all we're doing for tonight. Yugi, I don't know if you noticed this, but Alwa's Awakening is being released on the Switch, and the folks behind the game, they tweeted out like yes, this is going to be on a Switch with the date, and they included a whole bunch of like screenshots of people who had asked about whether it was going to be on the Switch. And your name, leaving a YouTube comment somewhere that it would be great on the Switch, was included, which I thought was great. I thought I was like, hey, I know that guy. So that's a thing that I thought you might want to know. I don't know why I can't find this tweet now. I will find it momentarily because I want to. Maybe I won't. Maybe they deleted it. Yeah, no, I can't find it. Anyway, Billy, it's great to see you. We are wrapping up here tonight. Any last questions? Now is your time. You got 10 minutes before I'm going to split. So if you have any questions you want to ask me, now is your chance. Ask me anything. I will give you the answers that I can. It does look like they deleted that tweet. I'm not sure why. Horse brother, food brother. It's really all the same. We'll count down from 60. If you haven't asked me anything by then you're just not going to be able to. Oh, it was Mikkel's post, maybe. There we go. I found it. I found Yugi's comment. Yes, question can be about anything. Well, maybe not YouTube shit, but anyway, Yugi, your YouTube comment that you would love to see this game come to the Switch is included in this. So I just wanted to let you know because I saw that and I was like, oh, I know that guy. Yeah. Question can be about anything. 60 seconds remaining. Oh yeah, so I've been playing Overwatch. I'm very bad at it. I'm not terrible at it actually. I'm mostly bad. It's hard to tell in the quick play mode because people like do not try to win at all. New cell with a great camera. Get a Pixel. It's my feeling. In Overwatch, I'm playing Reinhardt when I tank, and Moira when I heal. I am trying to get used to Moira or skating guy Lucio I think Lucio and Moira, but yeah, I'd say a Pixel 2 is definitely the best picture taking camera on the market. If you want to spend a lot more money, the iPhone X is a great, and prefer the iPhone ecosystem. iPhone X, and really any of the iPhones has a great camera on them. Lucio's like Poochie. Yeah, so I dig Lucio because he is a he matches my style of play a lot. My style of play is like get right in the middle of things, so that works pretty well. The Moira, I'm having a little bit more trouble with, getting used to her, but I feel like she has more of the ability to do like distance healing or targeted healing, and so is probably a better character to be with. It's really hard with Lucio to get the healing that I want done, whereas like I can heal a targeted character quickly with Moira. And then Reinhardt and there's another tank as well that like throws down a shield in front of him. That's the other one I'm trying to learn, because I like nobody ever takes tank or DPS, especially in quick play. But I don't mind being tank and DPS if I'm good at it. I'm just not usually good at it, and so like getting good at it is my goal. But then if someone has taken like if we need two tanks and someone takes Reinhardt, then like what do I do? Well, I have to play somebody else. So I'm trying to have at least 2 healers and 2 tanks that I'm good at playing. I don't know. Is there like a way to pull up your Overwatch stats? Overwatch stats. Tracker. CR Schmidt 1394. No. Allow. Oh, 1391. I forgot what my number is. Okay. I don't know why my thing doesn't work. Oh, I have to change my setting. My profile is apparently not public, so I can't show that to you, but I will fix that at some point. Anyway, but I'm really liking it. I'm interested in seeing what it's like to do something that's not in quick play, either playing with other people or playing in a competitive mode, to see what that's like. I think it would be a fun thing. But yeah, so I would say Pixel phones are great cameras. The software that goes along with the Pixel and the specialized hardware for doing image enhancements, I think, actually do both make a big difference in pictures. I expect the iPhone series has them as well, but my iPhone SE is nothing to write home about, and my wife's iPhone X has not been super compelling to me either, whereas the pictures that a lot of my coworkers take with their Pixel 2s are like more compelling. A lot of this just if you're good at taking pictures, what you take pictures of. Any cell phone has a decent camera at this point. We all carry cameras in our pockets that are better than the best DSLRs from a decade ago. So there is no reason you can't take a good picture with any $200 phone out there. They're all going to have fine cameras. But if you want a really good camera, I think buying, top of the line flagship phones from either Google or iPhone, you're going to be in good shape. So all right, no one else is asking questions, so I'm going to call the stream here. I love you all, and we'll see you on Friday for more Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and on Monday for something else. And then 2 weeks from today, there will be a stream, but I won't be in it. Or rather, I will be in it, but I won't be live. So we will be doing a live premiere 2 weeks from today, and so yeah. Live premiere 2 weeks from today, normal time, with something in it. I don't know if it's going to be a normal gaming stream, or if it's going to be a talk show, or if it's going to be something else, but we're going to try and do it. So that is it. Have a great night. Bye-bye.